What are the other two wings? Where do they fit in a non-Embiid offense with Maxey and George as the two focal points? We know what Andre Drummond does outside of his sniper from the corner, the three-point shot that he's going to take tonight against Rudy Gobert because he's lagging off on defense. Where do the other two fit in with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey out there on the floor?
I don't think things change much for Caleb, right? I just see him as one of those classic fifth starter type players that he's going to move off the ball. He's going to try to get some occasional offensive rebounds. Otherwise, he'll be a spot up, closeout attacker type. And I think he's okay with that. Like, I think it's everything that we saw about him in Miami suggests he's okay being that complimentary, I want to say hands off, but more subdued type of role, and steps up as needed, but doesn't necessarily say, hey, I need the ball, and like wave his hand to people. He plays his role and he knows it. I think the interesting thing will be, how did the other touches get distributed between Kelly and Andre? And the reason I say Andre is I think that him and Kelly might end up playing off each other a decent amount, because if you look at a lot of Kelly's success as a cutter last year, came off of those. Joel in the middle of the floor, Kelly coming down either from the dunker spot or from the weak side corner and getting those easy buckets at the basket. Certainly, Andre Drummond is not getting double teamed at the nail the way Joel Embiid was. But I think if he's got strengths on the offensive end, one of them is his ability to play make out of that kind of area. And so Kelly's role might change depending on, do you involve Andre in the offense more, or is it the same as it would be any other night? So that's kind of an open question right now. I guess the other part of it too is Andre going to continue shooting threes? I know that was a topic on the show the other day. If he spaces the floor and he starts, I don't think tonight will be the start of like, oh man, we got to guard Andre Drummond. But I think over time, if he can start to get some consistent defensive attention on the perimeter, that opens things up for someone like Kelly, for someone like Caleb to be more of a slasher and take advantage of that space in the middle of the floor. So Kelly is the one to watch, right? Do they hand him more responsibility? Does he elevate into that third option type of role and get some on-ball reps? Otherwise, it's, I would say, mostly business as usual is what I would expect.
Yeah, I think that's mostly right. And I don't really want all that many players trying to elevate their games too much. There is no natural like fourth option on his team. It's the top three and a bunch of role players. And for the most part, I want them to continue to play their role. You're obviously going to have to do a little more off the dribble. You're going to have to self-create a little more. You're probably going to have to make more of an effort to get out in transition to overcome the drop in half-court efficiency. But I don't want to see Kelly trying to be like Mr. 20-point per game Kelly. I think Kelly is at his best when he is cutting off ball, when he is taking pretty much only open catch and shoot threes, and when he keeps the ball moving. And I would like to see that more than anything. I think anything that's going to get Kelly into I need to attack and I need to self-create, I would rather right now just get him into good habits, especially because this game doesn't matter. But
I do think that he thinks when he looks at everyone else in the lineup and he knows that pecking order.
I have no doubt that he thinks he's the third best player on that floor. He's the third guy,
yes. Maybe even the number one guy out there because of that irrational confidence that he has. But
I wouldn't go that far, but there are definitely moments. There are moments
that he knows that he can score out there on the floor. So no Joel Embiid. He's like, all right, somebody else is going to have to put these numbers up. It might as well be me. Now, in this environment, a preseason game, we may not get all that upset about it, especially if he's producing and he's putting up some decent numbers. But he thinks that he's the third best guy and the rest of the offense is going to flow through him when the other two are double teamed and the ball swings. He's going to attack. He may not look for that extra pass. He's going to attack and try to get to the basket and finish like he normally does.
I mean, and if we're being honest, there's a real chance that Jared McCain ends up with the most shots tonight because then the second half rotations get crazy and the young kid just gets to play. So it could be another thing where we're talking mostly about the first half rotations. But he could. I'd prefer not if he didn't try to play hero ball, but we'll see.
We all silly like the mayor.